Corporate governance for smaller companies. Why should smaller companies be interested in corporate governance? Governance is a framework of processes and attitudes to add value and ensure long-term sustainability. It's about having the right people in the right roles, working together, and doing the right things to deliver value over the medium to long term. Corporate governance is concerned with establishing a framework of company processes and attitudes that add value to the business and help ensure its long-term continuity. Good corporate governance creates shareholder value by improving performance whilst reducing or mitigating the risks that a company faces as it seeks to create sustainable growth. Corporate governance changes in the UK. Until recently, the requirement for companies in the United Kingdom to adopt a formal corporate governance code was restricted to companies with a premium listing on the London Stock Exchange. Since January 2019, this has been extended to large private companies and companies on the alternative investment market, AIM. However, most companies are unaffected by these changes. So why should they be interested in corporate governance? Good governance is about having the right people in the right roles, working together and doing the right things to deliver value for shareholders as a whole over the medium to long term. All limited companies are subject to a corporate governance code. It's their Articles of Association. And in the UK, the Companies Act 2006 and local equivalents elsewhere. These determine and constrain the behaviour of boards. As companies grow and change, their needs evolve, and it is wise to create process and practice to match. For example, when shares are issued, when the founder needs a management team, when there's an expansion of the shareholder base, when there's a separation of board and management, and growth brings complexity, or when external funding is required, and when government or blue chip contracts are sought, and when non-executive directors are appointed. So, how should company governance evolve to match? Start with a shareholders' agreement. A shareholder agreement defines the rights, rewards and expectations of the shareholders, and is a sensible step as soon as more than one shareholder is involved. In particular, it should cover sale and purchase of shares, exit strategies. It's more flexible than the articles. It can be tailored to particular needs and changed easily by agreement. It's valuable in clarifying relationships. It is confidential, which means that it doesn't contribute to the company's reputation for good corporate governance. And it may be disputed when circumstances change. Over time, shareholders should seek to move away from shareholder agreements as a means of safeguarding their essential interests. Formalisation of board and governance processes should increase in tandem with the size and complexity of the company and the extent of its reliance on external sources of finance. Company law demands that the company is steered by a board in an objective manner with a sustained purpose, and not as a means of promoting specific personal interests or enriching a specific constituency. Best practice and the increasing interests of stakeholders will demand that this is formally defined. Governance codes published by the Financial Reporting Council, the Waite's Corporate Governance Principles for Large Private Companies, and the Quoted Companies Alliance are designed to reflect the needs of growing companies and may be adopted or used as an interim guide. In other words, unlike the UK Corporate Governance Code, these are specifically designed for smaller and more flexible type companies. Many small and medium-sized companies may see adoption of a formal governance code as imposing an unnecessary bureaucratic burden on their enterprise. However, adoption of best practice does improve performance, and a reputation for good governance can improve trust and reduce the cost of capital. So where can small businesses look for support and guidance as they evolve and grow? Well, let's start with professional advisors. Boards should choose accountants and lawyers who are able to provide business advice as well as fulfilling legal requirements. They may also be blessed with a wise and supportive bank manager. In addition, they should investigate services provided by organisations such as chambers of commerce, trade associations, and government agencies. Consultants, coaches, and facilitators. A wide range of individuals and companies are able to provide specialist advice and guidance on strategy, good practice, and organisation development. They are most appropriate for short-term projects and development. A mentor. It's lonely at the top and can be challenging for a growing company facing rapid change. So a mentor for the chief executive can be both a sounding board and a source of wisdom and advice. And appointing a mentor can also be a first step towards involving independent outsiders. Independent non-executive directors. Carefully chosen non-executive directors can bring a range of benefits. Formal commitment to the long-term sustainability of the company. Now, this is important. By law, directors are required to commit themselves to the long-term sustainability of the company, unlike advisors, mentors, banks, etc. They can bring challenge and discipline. They bring experience of formal board processes, specialist knowledge and experience, and wisdom and maturity. They should have a network of contacts and be a counterbalance to executive directors and family interests. They can provide chairmanship of key committees such as nomination, remuneration and audit, where an independent input is valuable. And they can provide public confidence in the board. In addition, the appointment of an appropriate chairman could raise the company's profile. So where do you find them? Experienced directors who have chosen an independent path may be looking to create a portfolio career as non-executive directors of smaller companies. And high-flying executives of larger companies may also be seeking such roles as part of their career progression. In addition, providers of external finance might wish to nominate directors, though these would not be deemed independent. Appointment as a director carries significant risk and responsibilities, also a significant time commitment, in addition to attending board meetings. These will require a suitable level of reward. So let's think now about an advisory board. During the early years of the company's existence, owner-managers may be uncomfortable about inviting outsiders onto the board. They may not yet be ready to share sensitive information and decision-making powers with outsiders. Hence, the board often consists of their colleagues, family and friends. However, this may result in the board lacking expertise in a number of key strategic areas, including strategy analysis, marketing, finance, human resources management, and international trade. As a result, it might make sense to create an advisory board which can fill the expertise gaps in these areas. Advisory board members are not directors in the traditional sense. They do not serve a governance function or represent stakeholders or shareholders. And it's important to ensure that they cannot be seen as shadow directors. They simply provide advice to the owner-manager about achieving current business goals. At its most basic level, the advisory board is a sounding board for the owner-manager. At its best, the advisory board furnishes him or her with a group of experts who can discuss opportunities, challenges, and next steps. An advisory board should be regarded as an interim step. Over time, non-executives should be added to the main board, which is the key decision-making body of the company. An advisory board could become a source of pre-qualified candidates for appointment to the board at a later stage. Similarly, membership of an advisory board can provide valuable experience and a useful addition to a CV for an executive or consultant who is seeking future board roles for themselves. So, how to create an effective advisory board? 1. Have a purpose. Carefully consider your critical knowledge gaps so as to identify appropriate advisors. Expect challenges. Choose advisors with your best interests at heart who are prepared to be brutally honest in their feedback. Leverage your network. Identify people within your network with the requisite skills and experience, or who are able to suggest referrals who do have those. Then carefully vet them to ensure they would be a good fit. They should not only have the technical knowledge, but also a desire to help and good chemistry. Write it down. Each advisor should initially complete non-disclosure and conflict of interest agreements. You should also spell out in writing the advisor's role, responsibilities, and other expectations, including an indication of how long and for what purpose the arrangement might last. Recognize time demands. Advisory board members will not necessarily be contributing their valuable time for money. However, it is good form to provide meals, travel expenses, and a fee. Keep it intimate. You should seek out 3 to 5 advisors with the necessary skills to meet the current challenges. Over time, the company's business issues may change. Then you can seek different advisors with the needed skills. Provide support. Plan ahead as you would with a formal board. Provide relevant information in advance, together with formal agenda, meeting time, and venue with flipchart projector, etc. Maintain ongoing communication. Meetings might be only once a quarter, so ensure that members are provided with interim information, such as monthly financial and other reports. Some years ago, I had a client with whom I attended several 2-day events. On the first day, I would facilitate a strategy meeting, and then on the second day, attend the board meeting. On the first such occasion, my client complained that because the company had recently joined AIM, that's the alternative investment market, he was required to appoint non-executive directors, and these would be expensive. I reassured him that they would be a good investment. On the second occasion, things were very different. The long-standing financial director had left, and 3 non-executive directors had been appointed. He had been right. They were expensive. He was paying them £60,000 each. This company provides specialist operations in Africa, and these non-executive directors were top people in the field with exceptional experience, expertise, and connections, and they proved their worth. The strategic thinking and the board meeting discussions were now at a significantly higher level. The board had been transformed, and my client was delighted with the result.